The Vatican in Rome has announced the death of Pope Francis. The 88-year-old had been the leader of the Catholic Church for the past 12 years.
Yes, his death was announced by Cardinal Farrell in a statement released by the Vatican, which said, "Dearest brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow, I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis. At 7:35 a.m. this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and his Church."
To reflect on the life of the Pope, we're joined by Giles Brandreth and Katherine Pepinster, former editor of the Catholic newspaper The Tablet. Giles, the timing of his passing is somewhat poignant.
It certainly is. Here we are on Easter Monday. Yesterday was Easter Day, the most important day in the Christian calendar. Here was Pope Francis, the leader of 1.4 billion Roman Catholics around the world. And well, if you're going to die at the age of 88, maybe you are going to die after you've actually been doing your work. Yeah. He was out there sharing in the blessing of people in the Vatican yesterday. To die this morning at 7:35 is, in a sense, extraordinary and moving. And I think it's moving for people beyond the Catholic faith, because to lose somebody who was palpably a good person does bring a sense of sadness to us all. Yeah. But from his point of view, as a Catholic, all his life so committed, in a way, what a wonderful time to go. Having celebrated Easter Sunday there in Rome, to find that the next day he's on his way to heaven. Yeah. So for a believer like him, because the best is yet to be, and the best is in the next world. Yeah. So we feel the passing of a good man, and we can reflect on a moment on why we think he was good and how he has set the tone for the future of the Church, which I think he has done, because he's appointed many cardinals in his time who make the decision about who becomes Pope next. But this is a moment for gratitude, reflection, sadness, but also, in a way, rejoicing.
Most definitely. And he was the first Pope from South America, which was new in itself.
The first Pope outside of Europe, I think, since the 8th century. Yeah. Since Pope Gregory II, back in the sort of 700s. So that was extraordinary. I think his parents, though, were Italian immigrants who went over to South America. But that was most unusual. He was unusual in lots of ways. He was a real person. Yeah. One of his last public duties was last week, I think it was Maundy Thursday. He actually was taken to a prison in Rome in order to bless and to be with people who were sinners. Yeah. Because he felt that he, too, was a sinner. Still, of course, doing his public duties. He saw our Queen and King only last week. A real public duty, too. He saw J.D. Vance at the weekend. So he was still being... And that's, in a sense, remarkable. Yeah. Today, actually, is the 99th birthday, or would have been, of our late Queen Elizabeth II. And I was thinking about her, how extraordinary it was that she died, aged 96, still working, still doing what we expected her to do. And then she died the next day. In the same way, he has been doing his duty over the weekend, and the day after, he has died.
Yeah. I want to bring in Katherine to the conversation. Katherine? Katherine?
I'm here, yes.
Hello. Well, welcome to This Morning, Katherine. Katherine, can you talk us through what kind of Pope Francis was?
I think Giles has described him very well. He was both a very special, but also a very ordinary person. He came from a poor, relatively poor family, migrant family based in Argentina. He learned about his faith at the knee of his grandmother. He loved football. He's Argentinian, so he loved the tango. He had a very strong idea that he should be a priest. He spent decades working in Argentina. Even when he was a cardinal in Buenos Aires, he used to travel on the underground system. He retained that common touch, I think. He knew how to talk to people. So he was a global leader, but he communicated so well with ordinary people. And I think, well, of course, as the leader of the Catholic Church, he was special to Catholics. I think he did communicate to others as well. Yesterday was so poignant because people were overjoyed to see him, but I think you could tell that the crowd in St. Peter's Square was tempered with sadness. They could see that he was very frail.
Do you think he has changed the way that a lot of people will see the Church?
I think he he made it seemingly more grounded in ordinary people's lives. And he talked continually about how God was merciful, God understood people. He talked about, as Pope Francis, he talked about his own failings. Yes, I think that's changed things. And then internally within the Catholic Church, he made reforms that would give the ordinary person in the pew, the people the church calls the laity, more of a say in the church. So I think yes, he's made a difference in that way.
Well, what he's done is absolutely marvellous.
He was much more accepting of the role of women within the church.
Right.
Gay people, he allowed them to be individually blessed. These are very controversial things within the church, and to take the whole world with you was quite challenging. And I think he has set the tone for the future, because Katherine can confirm this. I think there are 259 cardinals. They will all get to choose who the next pope will be. And I think about 109 of them are people who have been appointed by him, who therefore will be in his mould. So I think the gentle progression that he encouraged will continue.
So
Katherine,
would you say he was, would you say he's a very modernising pope then?
Yes, I would. Just to clarify what Giles just said about what's coming next, which after the Pope's funeral will be what's called the conclave, the election for the new Pope. So not all cardinals will vote. Those under the age of 80 will vote. There's about 138 under the age of 80, and 110 of them will were appointed by Pope Francis. So you could say that he has shaped the conclave, shaped the electoral college that will choose his successor. Now, the interesting thing is, the intriguing thing is that John Paul II and Benedict XVI, very different kinds of popes, and chose their successors, who would vote for their successors, and they chose Pope Francis. So you can't always assume that you're going to get somebody who's following in the footsteps of the previous person. But before all that, we will, of course, have the funeral. And even that shows a change. Pope Francis has left instructions that he wanted a much simpler funeral, and he asked that he wouldn't be buried in St. Peter's, he would be buried in another church in Rome called Santa Maria Maggiore, which is dedicated to the Virgin Mary. And he had a great devotion to the Virgin Mary and a great love of that church, and would visit it often after his travels. And of course, he went around the world. So many people saw him in their own countries.
And in a much simpler coffin, I think I'm right in saying.
Yes, that's
traditionally
right.
have a sort of multi-layered coffin, but I think he has chosen a much simpler one.
Yes, in the past popes as well, that when they've lain in state, their bodies been raised up and people could see them, but that won't happen with Pope Francis. He just wanted to be in a fairly ordinary coffin, yes. But I think the crowds will be there for the funeral, I'm sure.
Catherine, can I just ask you, Catherine, what's the time frame in the Catholic Church? It's a very specific time frame, isn't it?
Well, usually they have the funeral within the week. I expect that will happen, and then the cardinals will come into Rome for the funeral, and then they'll stay there, and they'll have meetings, including those who are too old to vote, but they'll all meet together and have meetings that they call general congregations, and they'll discuss the great issues that they think the next pope needs to address, and then they'll go into the conclave. So I would think we would have a new pope within 2-3 weeks and probably a month maximum.
Wow,
so
very fast.
Quite quickly.
And Catherine can confirm this. When the new pope is chosen and is elected, the first thing that happens to them, they're in a little room, and I've been into this room, and you may well, Catherine, there is something that is called the seat of tears. And the new pope is invited to sit in this seat of tears and simply weep both for the world and also for the enormity of the responsibility of being the Pope.
Wow.
Exactly. Catherine,
That's right. And there's also a tailors in Rome that will be busy now making 3 white papal cassocks for the next Pope. and they'll be in different sizes, small, medium and large, so that whoever's chosen, there should be one that fits him.
Well, thank you so much, Katherine. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be talking more about that later. Thank you, Giles. Now, following the sad news of his passing, we'd like to hear your memories of Pope Francis in today's phone-in.
Yeah, were you lucky enough to meet him, or were you moved by something he said or did? If he had a special impact on your life, please do give us a call on 08000 30 40 44 or scan the QR code on the screen right now and you can get involved using our free This Morning app. Please do get in touch by 11:15 today and you must be over 18.
Yes, the ITV Lunchtime News will have more on the death of Pope Francis at 1:30, and there will be an ITV News special this evening with Tom Bradbury live from Rome.
Can I just say, when you look at that picture, Giles, he has just got the most remarkable, warm, loving face. It's just, you know, he was a special man. Really
To lose
was.
good people is always sad, and here clearly was a good man.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.